Good morning. Here we are, better late than never. I'm gonna have some coffee because I have so much to tell you guys. So, if you're just joining us, because this is just me and you, I realize like no prep. This is you and I talking. This is the Journey to Mela Lifestyle morning moments, madness, and meditations. And again, this is just us having a conversation over coffee and me taking you behind the curtain of my launch of my website, Mela Lifestyle. So I just want to take you behind the curtain. If you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Camila Tibbetts. I am a serial entrepreneur. I have started and scaled 2 brands in my past, and I recently landed in New York a year ago, and I'm launching a lifestyle brand. And my heart behind launching the brand was just to create an environment, a tribe of a community of people, and have curated products in 4 categories, which are wellness, beauty, home, and style. My last 2 brands were solely home brands, and I've done a lot of videos and done a lot of lifestyle instruction and inspiration on my YouTube series, Tableside with Camila. But this morning, the Journey to Mela Lifestyle, this series is basically me talking to you about what it's like to scale a brand and to start a brand, and what it's like to be behind the scenes of a startup. Because I realize a lot of times we see founders like when they're on the panel, when they're on the dais, like when they're saying like how great it was. But like let's get down and dirty and talk about what it's like in the process and kind of take you in my mind and through my everyday of what it looks like. My kids, they're blessed to like they can talk to their parents about starting a business and what to do and have those conversations. They always overheard those conversations at the dinner table when they were growing up. But a lot of us, we're not in an MBA program. We don't have family that are entrepreneurs. We don't have someone that we can tap on the shoulder. So I just want to be that person for you, if only for 10 minutes today. So again, this is the Journey to Mela Lifestyle, morning moments, madness, and meditations. And be careful what you pray for, because yesterday when we started out our first Monday together, we talked about starting strong. We talked about what is your base weight. We talked about how we're gonna zigzag and tread the mountain versus like going up a steep hill. We talked about the things that we have to let go of. And we talked about just starting the week strong. And boy, did I start the week strong. There was a lot going on. I went from with you, I talked about the brand and meeting with an agency, which I did. It was a very productive meeting. So I went from meeting with you, I had a great conversation and meeting with an agency. I received their proposal. My inventory is coming in. So basically my apartment is basically a shipping and warehouse facility. You can kind of see the day on my story if you look at my story from yesterday. So I'm on the floor, I'm unpacking boxes, the camera, the equipment hasn't been put away from this morning. And I have a photo shoot coming up this weekend for some content. And I had to like leave from like unpacking the boxes, being a shipping and warehouse manager, like take the train all the way to the Upper East Side and put on like a stylist hat and like try on like really fancy dresses, right? And then come back to my apartment and then get down and dirty on the floor, opening boxes and like still take my inventory out. And then that's the day, right? And there was a few things that happened yesterday. First, I really had to identify, do I want to go to agency or do I want to go to freelancer, right? Because it's a big cost, and at the end of the day, usually when you're starting out, you never have enough, right? But you only have a certain number of funds. So really looking at, do I go with this agency and this team and like really put my costs there? Or do I do the work of kind of finding a freelancer that, and like no shade to freelancers, but like there's a lot more, communication. Let's just say there's a lot more communication when you're working with a freelancer and you're building a level of trust with them. So really looking at that and getting feedback. And one thing when we talked about base weight and things that we need to let go of, like I'm not the best with feedback, and I'm really not the best with feedback when it comes from my child. So I have a son, he just graduated from Gabelli Business School and he works in strategy. And he was really explaining to me like what this means, what the proposal means. And I realized like I had a little bit of ego because I was like, he can't tell me, like he's telling me I'm his mama. Like, but at the end of the day, you gotta take the title off of people, right? Like when people are giving you key information, like you got to take the title off of it. And if someone's giving you feedback, constructive criticism on something, and you feel yourself starting to get defensive, then there's something you need to learn in that. Because really, it's not about the feedback. and it's not about the person, it's about what's coming up in you. So I realized that I'm really sensitive to getting feedback from the very people that I raised, you know. So, and I'm sure if you have kids, like you can understand that. So that was my day. That was the madness. But let's go right back. Let's go right into the meditation, because I want to honor your time as well. So our first meditation this morning is what got you here won't get you there, and it kind of goes back to the story that I was telling you guys about the feedback. It's like, yeah, it's great. I built these brands. Like, yeah, it's great. I've been successful in this arena, but everything that got me there, like everything that got me to being the founder of Caravan, being the founder of Color Nature, is not going to get me to where I need to go in scaling and starting Mela Lifestyle, right? So what got you here won't get you there. And I'll usually frame it in the reference of business. Like I'll usually frame it in the reference of business and leadership, but you can look like that. You can look at that in any area of your life, right? Like you're like, okay, well, I used all these skills. I came up, I went to college. I did all these things. Now I'm a professional. Okay, that's great. Like you used the hustle mentality to get you to the point where you did what you needed, you put the applications in, you graduated college, that got you there. But let's say maybe you're trying to have a relationship. Let's say maybe you're trying to build a network. But when you're building a network, you may not, those skills that got you like into college and those skills, that hustle that got you to that point, your hustle may need to switch. Like you may need to pivot your hustle. Like that could be a hashtag, pivot your hustle. Like you may need to switch it up. And so I have to realize that with me, right? Like that's a humbling part, because this is me being transparent and being vulnerable in my process. Like what got me, like I can rest on and I can be proud of my accomplishments in what I did before, but what got me here is not going to get me there. The sky's not going to open and a brand and a business is going to pop in my lap. Like I have to do the dirty work. I have to show up. I have to open the boxes. Like I have to do multiple things, and that's okay. But acknowledging that everything that I used in the past, I'm gonna have to wear different hats and maybe grow a little, and like take a little feedback from people that I may not want to. So again, what got you here won't get you there. And I want to talk to, this is about leaders, but I'll always try to translate it into something that you guys can understand too. I want you guys to remember, I want you to be slow to hire, quick to fire. Okay? So I'm gonna say it again, I want you to be slow to hire and quick to fire. And what do I mean by that? I mean that when you're building a team, right? Like I want a marketing agency, like this is what I want, and I really want it yesterday, right? Because that's how I do things, quick, fast, in a hurry. But the reality is that you want to be slow to hire, right? Like you want to listen, have that initial meeting. You want to, do a bit of research. You want to hear what's said and not being said. You want to ask the tough questions, right? Like take your time in finding people to build your team, right? Like take your time, be very slow in your process of bringing people on board, because you know your leadership style and you know your personality type, and you really need to be aware of that. Because if you're if you're very type A, like me, like if you're very strong and you're very type A, and this person is kind of very passive and soft-spoken and needs like what I call a softer landing. Some people need a softer landing. They need it to be sandwiched. Well, when you're an entrepreneur and you're moving really fast, like you may not have time to sandwich something. So if this person is kind of shy and they need like a softer touch, that may not be a person to be on your team, because you know your nature. And a great question I always ask someone to kind of gauge where they're at, I ask them, what leadership style do you work well in? And tell me a time when you worked in a team or when you worked with someone, a superior, and it worked well, and tell me when it didn't work well. So when they start to tell me when it didn't work well, and they're basically describing my personality, like I know that's not a match. And just because it's not a match doesn't mean there's something wrong with the person, and it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, right? So I want you to be slow to hire and quick to fire. And when I say quick to fire, I'm not talking about like you're fired. Like it's just that when you start to see the red flags, right? When you start to see the things that are coming up that like that gives you that pause, I feel it in my spirit. Like I just have, you got to note that and not let your empathy, because like we can't run a business on empathy. Like there's we can be gracious, but when you start to see those red flags, you need to be quick to either speak to it or move on and know that this isn't a match. Because the longer you keep someone in your organization, the longer you keep someone on your team, the longer you keep someone in your house, the longer you keep someone, I was gonna say something that would have been inappropriate, but like the longer you keep someone around, you're just delaying the inevitable, and it's affecting your base weight, right? And we talked about your base weight. It's like what that is that you carry when you go up the mountain. So again, what got you here won't get you there. I gave you a bonus. Slow to hire, quick to fire. And the other one is like, you are the thermometer. So a lot of times when I mentor women, you know, like I said, I've raised 2 kids, 23 and 19. You know, I had the gift, because it was a gift. I had the gift of being married for 20 years. And so I know what it's like to have a family, to take care of someone, you know, to build a home, to, you know, do all these things. But again, what got me, all those things aren't going to help me today in starting this business. But, you know, like we said, what got you here won't get you there. But a lot of time, the experiences that you've had, you can use to help someone else who's in the same season that you've walked through. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. If you've had certain experiences, use those experiences to help someone walk through a season that you've been through. You know, because not everyone has someone to walk them through down the road. So when I mentor women, especially if they're like have a career, they're a mom, like they're trying to juggle all these balls, what I remind them is that you're the thermometer of your home, right? And for a lot of times, I don't want to gender this, but I am. Like a lot of times the woman is the thermometer of the home, right? Like if mom's happy, you know, like people say happy wife, happy life. You know, if mom's happy, if everything's going on with the woman or with the primary caregiver, if everything's going well with the primary caregiver in the home is okay, right? Like my kids would be like, mom's on one, you know, like they knew. So like you're the thermometer of your home. So just like I'd tell that to moms or people, like as it relates to their family structure, you're the thermometer of whatever you're at right now, right? So like you are back home with your family, right? Like you need to check your thermometer. Like you know, I would always tell my kids, when you come out of your room, you need to say good morning, right? So like you're the thermometer of your business. So as a leader, I always say your business will cap wherever you stop as a leader, right? So whatever personal development that you still need to do as a leader, you're going to see that that's where your business is gonna cap. Now you can still be, and what do I mean by that? Like you can still be prosperous. You can still have sales. Like you can still have all those monetary things, but you may not be able to retain employees. You know, like that's my. I still haven't figured that out, and I need to ask my son about that. That's my alarm. So you may still have that prosperity and that monetary push in one area of your business, but your employees may talk about, you know, like there's other things that are going to happen. So as leaders, we really need to really need to gauge our thermometer, right? Like we really need to gauge how we enter a room. And I always say, like when you enter a room, like you can shift the atmosphere of the room. So really check and understand that you are the thermometer of the environment that you're in. So a lot of times I'm going to relate that to leadership. But just remember that whenever you enter an environment, like you can set the, like you are powerful enough to set the tone of the room, right? Like, and when you have a big personality like me, like you have to be okay with that. Like I know that I can enter a room and divide it really fast, but as long as I'm confident in who I am and I'm very much aware of what I feel like when I enter the room and that I'm the thermometer of me, then I'm okay entering a room, whatever that may look like, right? If everyone looks like me, if they don't, if I'm the only woman or if I'm not, you know, like whatever that looks like, you're the thermometer. So our 2 meditations today, what got you here won't get you there. I gave, you know, there's a bonus, slow to hire, quick to fire. You could take that in your business or in your personal life. It's none of my business. I'm not a dating coach. I'm just saying. And you are the thermometer. And so a lot of times, you know, I love to end with an analogy, right? I love to end with something that really can kind of seal it in for you. And usually I'll do it, you know, something more of an analogy, but I wanted to share a story with you. And I think this is really important when we talk about what got you here, what gets you there, looking at yourself, knowing the places that you need to surrender, knowing the places that you kind of say, I need help, like I can't do this on my own. So there was this little girl and she had a fake pearl necklace, right? So she had this pearl necklace and she wore it everywhere. Like she loved it. She would, you know, play dress up with it. She would wear it on play dates. She would wear it to the park. She would, you know, put it on after she took a bath. Like she loved this fake pearl necklace. Like it was gaudy, whatever, but like she loved it. So one day your dad comes in the room and he says, you know, I need you to give me the necklace, you know, and she goes, what? She's like, what? She's a kid, so she's like toddler. And I can do tantrum, but I'm not gonna do that right now. This is a professional environment. But she's like, why? Like, I love this. And he's in, and the dad looks at her and goes, no problem, I'll wait. So the dad waits. He comes back in the room the next evening, reads her a bedtime story. Again, he says, I need for you, I really like for you to give me your necklace. And again, she goes, I love this necklace. This is so important to me. Like, no, I'm not gonna give it to you. This is my necklace, right? She holds on to it, like she's holding on to it, right? This is my necklace. So he goes, okay, I'll wait. And so he leaves the room. He waits a few days. He comes back again to read her the bedtime story. And as he closes to read the bedtime story, she looks up at him and she says, I love this necklace. She was like, it means so much to me, but I trust you, and I don't know why, but Dad, I'm willing to give you this necklace. And she takes the necklace off and she hands him the necklace. Eyes full of tears, completely confused, not knowing what's going to happen next, really in a place of complete surrender and trust. And she hands her father the necklace, and he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a tiny box. And in that box is a beautiful strand of really beautiful pearls. And what is that story about, right? The story is not about the little girl having a tantrum. The story is not even about the pearls. What the story is about what happens when we surrender, and what happens when we trust, and what's on the other side of that trust, right? Because the little girl didn't know that her father had these beautiful pearls in his pocket. But what she did was she trusted him. And she didn't know, but there was something greater. And in our day-to-day lives, right, we're in this season where we don't know what's gonna happen next. Like, we don't know what's on the other side of what our country's gonna look like, what our environment's gonna look like, what our jobs are gonna look like. Like, we don't know. But in a moment, in a complete moment of surrender, if we can just trust, right? Knowing something that's greater is gonna come. So when I tell these stories and I give this encouragement, I'm talking to myself. Because yeah, it's hard starting a business. Like, I'm starting a business in the middle of a global pandemic, but I trust that there's something greater. And maybe Mela Lifestyle is not gonna cars for everybody. Like, it's not, it's not that. Like, maybe Mela Lifestyle is a growth opportunity for me. Or maybe Mela Lifestyle is just a way for me to see that I can scale another brand on my own and be of service to a community that I really believe in. But in that moment, whatever that is for you today, whatever that you're holding on to so tight, I would just ask that you start to be in a place of trust. And if you completely surrender to whatever is available to you, then there's so much more on the other side of it. And so, thank you for joining me this morning on the journey to Mela Lifestyle. Our meditations today was what got you here won't get you there. You're the thermometer. And always know that together, we're gonna get stronger, we're gonna get wiser, and we're gonna do better. As my mom used to say, do better. Okay, ciao for now. Bye guys.